All right, my friends, this episode is going to be an unorthodox one that we're not used to, and one that's going to be much shorter and physically just on the tripod, me talking, giving you an update on the 450 and what we're dealing with. So let's roll the intro and just get right into this. So guys, as you can see, I don't know if you've been following me on Instagram at all, but you know, most of the major real-time updates come from Instagram. And as you can see on the lift is the bike pretty much done. Just working through random things and things that are popping up every day that I try riding it. Like my left crankcase cover is just seeping oil everywhere. Yesterday I went for a test ride thinking, yeah, great, gotta go get gas. Fill it up, take it for a shakedown ride. It's really fun and comfortable to ride, believe it or not. And all of a sudden I look down at the gas pump and there's like not just dripping of oil, like I'm talking like, you know, like a puddle of oil. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I did not do an engine rebuild on this engine, which I slightly regret, but I'm not to that point yet where I'm gonna be like, you know, shit out of luck. So basically this engine only had 8,000 miles on it, ran beautifully before I started tearing down the bike. Really needed nothing. I just went through, put new clutch plates, checked the valves, checked the lobes, checked the cams, made sure everything was in check and not too scored or scored at all, which they were actually pristine. You know, went through, put new gaskets everywhere, shimmed the valves, put an electronic ignition. So I did like the maintenance upgrades to the engine. And I just didn't take it apart, change the head gasket, which I had a little seeping out of the head gasket the other day, which I noticed. And I just, torqued them down to a little bit more than the torque spec is, which that helped ultimately seal it up a little bit better. It's not leaking nearly as bad. It's just like a little mist, barely anything coming out. So that's what this episode's going to be all about. Basically me being real transparent and giving you guys the straight up lowdown of the status of the bike, because on the internet things look much better than they usually are most times. So in this case it's looking much better on the internet than it actually is. So it fires up every time. Like the wiring is mint, came out great, super happy with the outcome of the wiring, and the brakes work. I got those to bleed well. The headlights all dialed in. Everything works functionally properly as it really should. However, I ran into two issues where two random oil leaks came into play. One on the crankcase the left crankcase cover, just like seeping, like I'm talking like pouring oil. So I ordered up a new gasket. Hopefully that's the issue. I'm a little confused because it is a new gasket, so we're not going to worry about it until we get the new gasket in so we can actually inspect things and check it out. So I went through, I've been riding it. I put, I don't know, maybe like 20 miles, 40 miles on it so far. It's tuned pretty damn close to perfect. I'm happy about that. The brakes work great, like I said. The way it rides, super smooth. The monoshock is actually, because this is the first ride that I've done on the bike with the new monoshock, and it is different. Like it's completely different. I think my spring rate is a little too stiff, so that's something we can change. But the actual construction and geometry of the monoshock is working out really, really well. The front forks are completely way too much power of suspension and stopping power for this bike. There's literally no weight on the front end. So when you hit a bump, it almost like hops a little bit because of it being so light and there's so powerful front end. It's such a powerful front end setup. So it's not an issue, but definitely way overpowering and not necessary for this particular chassis. But if you decide to do it, it definitely makes everything way smoother and way more stable. So that's not necessarily a negative, it's just like a random thing I'm saying. In addition to that, I've been dealing with this rear brake connection from the drum to the lever. It's been giving me a whole crap load of issues. Finally came to a middle ground where it's going to work. It's not perfectly how I want it aesthetically and like operational wise, but it works as it should. It looks fine. Just the level of the actual foot lever pedal is a little bit higher than the left side, so not the end of the world. Before it was like, you know, getting stuck at the decompressed, at the compressed lever or action of the lever, and then it would like let go over time and then like come straight up. It was a whole whop of issues, stupid issues. That's what, like, you know what I mean? It's like stupid things. This last 5% of any build is always where the most BS comes into play. That's just my experience, and what most conversations I have with guys that do similar stuff is they kind of say the same thing. But really, all in all, everything is working really well. I need to calibrate my speed sensor and my tachometer to, you know, get things actually like in line in spec. And in terms of running, riding, and like not having a seat pan made yet, or the cowl, these are the cowl and the seat. All right, let me take a step back. Let me finish what I was saying. The bike is literally done. I'm just running into really stupid things as I ride it more and more, which is part of the shakedown process of building a custom bike. You know, you go through those first few like random things. You got to tighten up bolts. Okay, that's all done. So the bike is mint. It's great. The paint came out great. I hand painted the emblems to make them silver and black to match the actual color scheme. Those came out mint. But for some reason, I don't know how I let it get to this point, but we don't have a cowl. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but we do not have a cowl. And I have a feeling the cowl is not going to be done before I leave to go back down to Florida. And that is going to really pierce my heart, because the fact that this bike is not done yet just like bothers me every single day, because it should have been done 7 months ago. I've just been at school in Florida. Now I'm done with school, but now I'm moving back to Florida. So it's, for my mental health, not very good. But it's okay. We'll deal. We'll deal. It's for bigger and better things. Trust me. But yeah, so no cowl. However, I do have a foam cutout of the shape, and, you know, basically a template, and that's pretty much all I need. So basically what I'm trying to say is, since I don't have the cowl, it's not the end of the world, because I can still use this foam piece to make my fiberglass seat pan. So I'll be able to make a seat pan. Get that sent to Rich Phillips Leather, who is over in St. Louis. He is incredible. I don't actually know, that might be the name of his business. I'll have to check. Let me check. He's incredible. He does incredible work. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him at the Hand Built show and also at BJ from Brick House Build's open house, which was a blast, absolute blast. But let me pull up his Instagram handle in case any of you are interested in getting a seat, because although personally I haven't gotten one made from him yet, I have felt and sat and touched a lot of the seats that he's made on other people's projects, and very impressed. So yeah, okay, his Instagram is, I'll put it right here, Rich Phillips Cycles. That is RichPhillips Cycles. Definitely give him a shout if you guys are looking for a seat. He's incredible, super nice guy, and he is one of the most creative guys I've ran into in the upholstery industry. So super excited to be working with him on that. Thanks, Rich, for fitting me in the end of the season here, and hopefully I'm going to get this seat pan made in the next few days so I can get it sent to him. But yeah, anyways, like I said, this video and episode is like super random, it's totally unorthodox from what we're used to. I just really felt like it was necessary to have a straight up you and me and you conversation about the actual status, if anyone is interested or cares. I know there's quite a bit of you that have been intently following. Definitely not all of you, but there's a good handful of people that I'm ultimately making this video for. So I figured it was very necessary for actually myself to be able to go back and think about what I have to do, what is done, and where we're actually at. Because where we're actually at is we have a running and riding badass CB450 that is awaiting a cowl that is not in existence in any way, shape, or form, and I have no idea what the heck to do at this point. I've tried 3 different ways to get this made because it's a lot different than the CB750 shape. It's a lot more intricate of a design that I wanted. Otherwise, I would have just done it by hand. So that's about it, really. The bike's great. The monoshock turned out incredible. I'm actually having an issue with getting fuel to the right carburetor, which is just an easy fuel line routing issue that I just have to sort through. But basically, I wanted to come on here and tell you guys all the issues with the bike and all the great things with the bike. Just a basic update. And impressions from my first ride experiences. This thing is way comfier than the CB750. That is for damn sure. Man, way comfier. And the front forks are way better. I wish these front forks were on the 750. I think those front forks need to be like completely rebuilt. When I mean completely rebuilt, I'm talking like cartridges, springs, shims, all that stuff, because it does not actuate the way these do. And yeah, really. I ran into a big issue with the throttle assembly. I wanted to run the XM2, but that's a push-pull throttle assembly, like for a CB750, for example. And I thought maybe I could just run like a 1 to 2 throttle cable, but it was like impossible to find. So then I ended up doing a switcheroo. Thank you to Sparrows over at Sane Motion Moto up in Canada. He really hooked me up because we did a swap I sent him back the Domino throttle assembly, and then he sent me a Mesner motor twin pull throttle assembly, which came out great. It's great. At first, I was struggling with it, but whatever. And another weird thing, my horn, when I hold my horn down, it goes, it like cuts out. It's weird. So there's a couple weird things that I got to work through. But all in all, like actually like riding function, it doesn't need anything. Like built an incredible machine. Right now it's just going, like I said, going through that last 5% of just BS. And, it's not the most glorious shit, but it will turn out in the end. So thank you for tuning into this episode. It's definitely an unorthodox one. But if you have any questions, leave them down below. Or if you've run into anything similar in this stuff, I would love to have conversations with you guys. And please always reach out to me. That's one thing I love about the community, of the MZR community, is we're so tightly knit, and we always have great conversations. So I always look forward to those. Don't be afraid to comment below, DM me on Instagram, whatever it may be. If you've been enjoying this build process so far, I know it's been stretched out way farther than it has to be, but life is life. And if you've been enjoying it, please consider giving a thumbs up to this episode in particular, and also subscribing to the channel to see the final episodes of this build series. And one more thing I forgot to mention. As you guys know, I had 2 CB450s. I recently sold the green CB450 that I did I'll link the episode right here. It's just a straight up maintenance video. I pulled it out of a barn, got it running, riding, working great. That I just sold, but before I sold it, I have an incredible vision for a commercial where it's like, in a nutshell, CB450 off the assembly line in 1973, and then CB450 off the assembly line in 2023. Same bike, completely different, modernized, and I am super pumped because it's going to be like more of a storyline type of thing, some rollers involved, and that's honestly, not going to lie, that's the reason why I bought that stock CB450 was solely for a commercial, but needless to say, things are rolling. All right. As you can see, a little different attire, a little different lighting. So when I filmed the first 2 clips of this sequence, or like of this update video, it was about 2 days ago. And that was before I had the bike saran wrap, before I had the seat pan made and pretty much ready for upholstery. And so there's a few more updates that I figured before I, post this episode in the next day or so. I figured I would give you guys a real in-time update and kind of post it the same day I'm making this episode or the day after I'm making this episode, so it's super fresh. And I can a couple things that I want to update you guys on for real-time updates for the CB450 is the seat pan and the cowl situation. Those two things are what have kind of been holding the timeline of the finished bike build date, if you will. And I have decided to take matters into my own hands and make that more of a reliable build date end, if that makes sense. And I've decided, because originally, I cut up a bunch of walnut wood to, kind of make another wood cowl because it's kind of my thing, if I would think. Like the 750 has the wood on it. So I put my best effort forward to have the necessary steps put in place to achieve a wooden cowl for the 450, but that just fell through, and it's been far too long of this development being drawn out. So I've finally said, screw it, I'm going to take matters into my own hands, and I decided, since I'm in the process and the bike's all wrapped up with saran wrap and I just made the seat pan, I figured, screw it, let's fiberglass in the cowl because we do have a foam cutout. Let's fiberglass the cowl and then make a reverse mold, essentially, and finish it in carbon fiber. So basically a carbon fiber rear tail to match the carbon fiber headlight. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be quite the journey, but since I have everything all ready still, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. First thing I'm going to do is tackle getting the cowl fiberglassed in and then obviously detached, and then we'll work from there. But mainly, those are the two main updates. There is a Rochester Moto Social this coming Wednesday, and I am planning on going to that. So, in addition to that, remember earlier in this video I mentioned how I had an oil leak, like not an oil leak, like an oil pour. So I discovered that the push rod for the clutch, that gasket, this gasket, this O-ring, okay, had popped out of place and was fully off. Therefore, oil was clearly gushing out, which went ahead, ordered a new one. I originally thought it was the left crankcase gasket, which is a brand new one. Now I ordered a second one thinking it was that, and then I discovered it was this. So I'm going to put this back into the push rod location so to seal that up, which should not have any issues. And I also got carb float bowl gaskets, which were leaking, and I had to repaint the clutch cover as well because gas leaked on it. So everything's going to go back better than it was before, which I'm excited about, and that'll happen in the next day or so. And if the left crankcase cover is still leaking, it's totally fine because we can easily change it out for a second brand new fresh gasket. So, I don't know, guys. I just finished up the seat pan about 3 hours ago of me filming this, not of the video dropping. And I'm pretty psyched on how it turned out. I'll give you a little sneak peek. All right, so here's a little sneak peek of the seat pan that I made today. And it's fiberglass, of course. And it's got push buttons on the bottom. And then a little lip for the front to lock in. See, these push buttons, adjustable. And you kind of go in here, jimmy it in there, push down, and it's in place. So very thrilled on the way it turned out. I have to finish it up and potentially fix the front here because that's a section I need to cover with upholstery. So I don't know. We'll play it by ear, ask the upholsterer what he thinks, and go from there. But essentially, that's an update on the seat pan, what I did today, and what we're planning on doing. And the shape of this bike is turning out to be absolutely incredible. I'm super, super thrilled with how it's turning out, and I cannot wait to get this thing wrapped up and finished because it's crunch time. I'm heading out of town again, back to Florida for work early November. So I don't have much more time to finish this, and I want to finish it before I leave, or else I'll blow my brains out thinking about it every single day. So just trying to do myself a favor, get this finished up, be able to enjoy it, get some photo shoots down, and that's about it. And you know, another thing I'm thinking of doing in the next few episodes is a shop update. I've never really done a shop video. It's not really anything special. It's the third bay at my mother's house, so you know, it does wonders. It does what it does. It's put out 2 world-class motorcycles. Not a big deal. No, I'm just messing around, but yeah. So I was thinking about doing a shop tour video soon. There's no tour. It's just kind of like my setup. I'll show you guys. It's always something I kind of wanted to do, so we'll give it a shot. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. As always, MZR fam, we're one team, one family. Thank you for tuning in for this little random update. I know this video was a little out of the ordinary of what we're used to in this build series at least. And I'm super pumped. I felt like it was necessary to hop on, give you guys a conversational update, a real-time update with the status of the bike. It's running, it's riding. I got everything that kind of working through its quirks in the last shakedown ride should be fixed now. So once this seat pan and cowl are finished, this thing's pretty much ready to go. I just got to get it pinstriped in the tail to match the tank, and that's about it. So this bike's rad, super fun to ride. It's super light, super nimble, fast, and oddly comfortable. Oddly comfortable. Way better than the 750, that's for sure. But I'm going to go ahead, finish up the seat pan tomorrow, get it sent out to the upholsterer, and get working on the cowl. So let me go, guys. As always, thanks for being the dopest crew out there, and I'll catch you in the next episode.